one of the big things to consider with the Maldives is the main two seasons. We have a dry northeast monsoon, which sort of runs around January to April. Because the winds are coming from the east, generally it's the better visibility is on the eastern side of each of the atolls. But because all the winds and the waves are sort of pushing plankton and everything across to the atolls from east to west, the manta rays and whale sharks generally move to the western side of the atoll because they're going to follow the plankton which they feed on. So this monsoon is known locally as Uruvai. Generally, it's considered a kind of clear skies, calm winds, kind of very good time of year to visit. The other monsoon, the wet southwest monsoon, so everything coming up from the southwest, everything reverses. So the visibility is generally a little bit better on the western side, but the plankton's pushed to the eastern side, and that's where the manta rays and the whale sharks go. It is generally considered, a more likely period for kind of higher winds and sort of choppier waves and maybe a bit more rain. However, it is the Maldives. It is generally good year round. It is very unlikely that you get any sustained bad weather. You'll be very unfortunate to get any sustained bad weather for more than a couple of days. But depending on the time of year you're looking to travel, you can consider going north or south, and there are variations and subtleties. So, feel free to reach out to the team at ZuBlu and we'll be able to give you those kind of extra details. When it comes to the diving, I thought it'd be nice just to give you a bit of an idea of the kind of different dive experiences you can have, the different dive sites. There's a huge amount of variety there. So I've made a little diagram. On the right-hand side is the sort of outer edge of the atoll where the wall will drop off to hundreds of meters. The outside of the atoll is great for wall diving. You get a lot of like little terraces, caves, swim-throughs. Great fun to see big stuff cruising past or going, on the outside of the atoll. As you get up to the shallower reef, you get the barrier reef that I've been mentioning about. So this is called the Futufaru or Futaru. There's no way to snorkel on that. It's getting hit by waves, so not somewhere you want to be. As you head over the sort of outer edge of the atoll, over the islands, you then head into the lagoons in the interior. And then you get sort of two types of reef that are very shallow. One is called a faru, and that is generally a reef that is exposed at low tide. You then have a giri, which is a shallow reef that doesn't get exposed at low tide. And then heading a little bit deeper to the really exciting places are the tilas. So these are sort of underwater seamounts, generally a little bit deeper in terms of where the top of the reef is, more like 10, 15 meters. But these act as great hubs for marine life. They have, they bring all of the sort of reef sharks together. Manta rays use them as cleaning stations. So tilas are particularly exciting spots to be heading to. And just to give a quick example of the variety you can get in a single area, I'm not saying South Mali Atoll is the best place to go. There are lots of them, but just within South Mali in a very small area, you can have Coco Corner, which is a great wall dive that turns into a kind of drift dive in the channel. You've got the very famous Kanduma Tila, which is a long stretch of underwater reef that is good diving it on an out current and an in. Lots of grey reef sharks, white tips, turtles, eagle rays. On the interior, you'll get one of the giris I mentioned, more of a shallow reef. That's actually used as a great manta ray cleaning station. And then sort of 4 and 5, there are other great sort of corner wall dives. So within a very small area, you will get a huge variety of diving experiences. So when I think about the underwater world of the Maldives, I kind of look at it in the various sort of habitats that are on offer. In terms of the lagoons, these are the kind of shallow areas around the islands. They're great nurseries for small fish. You get sort of occasional sort of small patches of coral. You get beautiful visibility, which is lovely for snorkeling. Lots of little critters in the sand if you keep an eye out, such as this little pipefish. If you're on an island that happens to have a sort of nesting turtle site or a turtle sanctuary, there's a chance for you to see baby turtles. There are always lots of rays within the lagoons as well, such as this pink whiptail ray. And a lot of resorts now are doing sort of coral restoration programs. So you can sort of enjoy snorkeling within a lagoon and sort of see the work that they're going through from a conservation perspective. This is Ansana Ihiru that I mentioned earlier. They even have this enormous electrified artificial structure on their house reef that they are growing coral on as well. That's very impressive to go dive and snorkel over. And then when it comes to the reefs, I think one of the most iconic fish in the Maldives is these orange anthias. They are there in their millions, if not more, and they just bring enormous color to the reefs when you're diving there. And color is really the name of the game in the Maldives. You've got all the classics, the beautiful anemone fish. You've got schools of powder blue surgeons, snappers, huge, and then you've sort of got the iconic oriental sweet lips as well, lots of schools of those, blue line snapper, and so on. So a huge number of different schooling reef fish to be swimming in and out of. And then you get the kind of big iconic Maldivian species, not unique to the Maldives, but very prominent there, such as the Napoleon wrasse, amazing patterns on its face, and the patterns and beauty continue across all of the fish, such as this little parrotfish's mouth, and into the coral as well. And if you look closely, there are some particularly cute chaps to find amongst the coral as well. And I think sort of images like this sum up the Maldives, in my opinion. Beautiful reef fish, stunning soft coral kind of hanging off the reef, and yeah, just a pleasure to dive. Obviously, lots of turtles as well. And I mentioned the lovely sort of caves and swim-throughs that you can see on the outer edges of the atolls. These kind of beautiful soft coral-laced little places to explore are fantastic. And do keep an eye out for the little soft coral crabs on those as well. And when it comes to the little things, Maldives is actually surprisingly good from a diving perspective. You do see lots of leaf fish, ghost pipefish, lots of nudibranchs as well, flatworms. So all sorts of small things to keep an eye out for, even though a lot of people are very keen about the big stuff. Another key area that Maldives offers a lot of is wrecks. There are plenty of those in almost every atoll, and pretty much every resort will have access to a wreck dive site, or a liveaboard will go visit them. The wrecks act as great little hubs for marine life, and they're also kind of heavily coral encrusted as well, which is always great to explore. There's a particularly famous one in Laviani Atoll, which had its bow sticking out the water. I think that's now collapsed a little bit, but you were able to kind of swim inside it and look up through the structure as the bow poked out the water. So yeah, very beautiful with all the rays of light. But the big stuff and where the action is all on the sort of edges of the atolls, specifically around the channels where you get the most current. So you get a lot of grey reef shark action. You get the big schools of jacks and tuna. White tip sharks kind of will often be hunting, and it's kind of schooling together when they hunt. And then the iconic schools of eagle rays. If you get a chance to see that silhouette as a whole squadron of them fly over the top of you, that's one of the sort of top Maldives dive experiences, in my opinion. And they also kind of just look beautiful as they swim over the sort of bottom of the channels, over the rippled sand, kind of carved by currents.